Sarah Washington?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear you.
All right, we're good. So we are back for a very special and kind of bonus episode today, just to get back and do some episodes before the end of the month. In a really beautiful day, all the snow is melting, and we have a little
Incredible sun.
Yeah, like this, just seeing the sun in like such a clear and open way is so weird, and it's wonderful in every way. We have like
Agreed.
an hour and a half left of like full sunlight. It'll start to set. Like it's getting closer to 6. The sun's setting out. Very exciting. But yeah, we'll probably just start today with a very interesting story, and that Zach has not yet read about a
True.
Smith College kind of drama that is at the intersection of, cancel culture and like race and class and all that stuff. So, in the midsummer of 2018, Umu Kanute, a black student at Smith College, recounted a distressing American tale. She was eating lunch in a dorm lounge when a janitor and campus police officer walked over and asked her what she was doing there. The officer, who could have been carrying a lethal weapon, left her near meltdown. Like she was just freaking out, and she wrote on Facebook saying the encounter continued a year-long pattern of harassment.
Wait, what? She was just sitting there and then she started crying?
Yeah, apparently like the idea of like an interaction with like an officer with a potentially lethal weapon just left her in like a near meltdown state.
Jesus Christ. She talks to a cop and she starts crying?
She wrote on Facebook and was like, all I did was be black. It's outrageous that some people question my being at Smith and my existence overall as a woman.
If she was in Texas, she would like kill herself because everyone has a gun there.
Yeah.
That's a little bit sensitive.
I mean, I don't know if she would have she would probably, being a liberal person, she probably wouldn't have a gun. But who knows? So the college's president, Kathleen McCartney, offered profuse apologies and put the janitor on paid leave. This painful incident reminds us of the ongoing legacy of racism and bias, the president wrote, in which people of color are targeted by simply going about their business of their ordinary lives. So, yeah, apparently at least maybe her reaction was a little bit harsh, but she did, in fact, I don't know, it kind of looked like she may have at least been kind of profiled, and the New York Times, the Washington Post, the CNN, they all picked up this big story of a young female student harassed by white workers. The American Civil Liberties Union, which took
and it's false,
said she was profiled for eating while black. So, yeah, and that kind of is interesting because there is this whole like arc of the ACLU's involvement, which like they used to be. And Glenn Greenwald kind of has to take. I know we talked about Glenn Greenwald in the end of the last episode. He's been very critical of the ACLU during the Trump administration for just kind of being a little bit like overzealous, I guess you could say, and just kind of being like too like not as principled, not being the same people who would like do something as controversial but still principled as like defending KKK members for their rights to protest. Like, do you follow the ACLU at all, or like, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm reading here that a 35-page investigation found no.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to that
evidence.
Part.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Continue.
Yeah. So less attention was paid 3 months later when a law firm hired by Smith College to investigate the episode found no pervasive evidence of bias. Kanute was determined to have eaten in a deserted dorm that had been closed for the summer. The janitor had been encouraged to notify security if he saw unauthorized people there. The officer, like all campus police, was again unarmed. So, just a completely insane story, and the fact that apparently, I mean, maybe we haven't gotten to the part in the story yet, but apparently, like she was told not to sit there, and it was like, but. Like, it just, like, I feel like on his face, it takes, like, a certain type of, like, special person to go into a room where, like, is kind of, like, or is, I mean, maybe you don't know it for sure, but it's, like, no one else was there. You kind of get that vibe that, yeah, there's not going to be, this is, like, not where I'm supposed to be. And then still go in there and then when someone calls you out on it, get that crazy about it.
What kind of person goes into like a dark, closed room to eat by themselves? So sad.
Yeah, I mean, maybe apparently she was there like during the summer, so she probably didn't have any of her friends there. So
seems like she was crying racism a bit. Unclear.
Yeah, and it's a very, very interesting story here. So Smith College officials emphasized reconciliation and healing after the incident. In the months to come, they announced a raft of anti-bias training for all staff, a revamped and more sensitive campus police force, and the creation of dormitories, as demanded by Canute and her ACLU lawyer, set aside for black students and other students of color. So pretty much they did a lot of things that, I mean, maybe people out there who may be listening may say this is like a problematic statement, but I think pretty much if you look at these actions, anti-bias training, especially for staff at a workplace, isn't good. It's not effective. It only serves to like further divide people. And a more like revamped and sensitive campus police force.
Robin DiAngelo.
Yeah, exactly.
Training booklets.
Yeah, and the creation of dormitories set aside for black students. And you could, of course, you can have like an all-black frat house or like a community
segregation.
They have that all over the place, but like segregating more and more just doesn't seem like the right way to do it, especially when
there's
at a place like
mounds
Smith, there's
of
so
evidence.
many
there's literally mounds and mounds of evidence that like exposure to different people is helpful for fighting prejudice. Like literally
100%.
like the television show Will and Grace and like Ellen like changed millions of people's opinions about gay people. That's not an exaggeration. Like it's literally, there's been studies like seeing a gay character on television show or a black character or anything like that like creates similar images of your brain in like of friendship.
And that experience is what college is supposed to be for so many people.
Yeah. So no, you're definitely not helping anything by segregating. I mean, I thought that was obvious, but I guess not in the 20.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like some kind of like because like the response is like, oh yeah, well, black people need their like safe spaces, and it's like I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other like safe spaces and places to go where like you can just talk about being black with black people and like not have to worry about anybody else coming in and making like the vibe uncomfortable. Which I mean, to a certain extent, I get, but like this is like beyond that extent, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, this is not even like the sensitivity of this person is insane. Can you imagine the officer who could have been carrying a lethal weapon? What does that even mean? Like, it's just completely with everything that's happening in our country. It's just completely irrational to believe that an officer is just, if you're black, is going to come up and shoot you. I mean, it just doesn't happen. I'm sorry. Like,
well, I mean, of course it does, and like you're talking about a campus.
True.
Well, yeah, of course it happens.
They don't. Like, nobody in America is a police officer doesn't just come up to you and shoot you.
Well,
or at least in all of everything that has happened over the past 10 years. I mean, like since the highlight.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about like just completely direct.
Of Black Lives Matter, not a single instance of police brutality has happened where it's like you're doing something and a police officer comes up and fucking shoots you.
Oh yeah, with no like prior interaction.
Actually, you know what?
Are you talking about like with no prior interaction? Like just comes up to you?
The only example I could think of is like, who's the kid in the park again?
Oh, Tamir Rice. Yeah. I mean,
okay, well that was sort of different though, because he had like a fake. That's not. By the way, none of this. Just so we're clear, none of this is justification for what's happening at all. Not even close. My point is, it's like the belief that like just being black will you murdered. Not that it's complicated because there's like the literal fact of like, well, you could argue, did George Floyd get killed because he was black? Yeah, probably. Like, I don't think that would have happened to a white person. But like, police officers aren't coming up and killing people. You know, is my point.
Yeah, like just like, point like, with no interaction. They're not like walking up to people.
It is an irrational fear. It is an irrational fear to have a full blown meltdown because like a police officer walks up to you and you're black.
Yeah, especially someone who's like, it's not even a police officer though.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's unarmed. You're on like Smith College, of all places. Like it just seems so like
it's
really
just
crazy.
Janitor. It's a janitor and like a campus police. Like you're not getting murdered. That's never happened.
Yeah, this is the so this is the New York Times here again reporting on all this stuff so far. Yeah, they literally did not offer any public apology or amends to the workers whose lives were gravely disrupted by the student's accusation. This is a tale of how race, class, and power collided at the elite 145-year-old liberal arts college, where tuition, room, and board top $78,000 a year, and where employees who keep the school running come from often really working-class enclaves beyond the school's elegant wrought iron gates. So, like, this is people who are paying $78,000 a year tuition, but the janitor, who faced all this backlash after calling the police, makes $40,000 a year. So it is really kind of a crazy situation. Those tensions come at a time when few in the Smith community feel comfortable publicly questioning liberal orthodoxy on race and identity, and some professors worry the administration is too deferential to its increasingly emboldened students. And I think this is also a very interesting conversation because, like, the stuff that they're talking about here is not just at Smith. It's just a very, very prevalent part of college culture. And as someone who, like, I'm going to a school where, I mean, I have even been in that, like, campus for 1 minute, but just through social media, I already see this exact same kind of culture going on here. And I mean, I consider myself, like, you know, a pretty, like,
left-wing guy.
Which
culture?
Like this kind of, like, hyper woke culture, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm seeing it already in, like, kind of crazy ways of just, like, I mean, some are, like, a little bit less crazy than others, but just the kind of not, like, the stakes over, like, the highness of the stakes over such, like, little things, and just about, like
what's an example?
Like safe space. Like, there was, like, this kind of.
I don't agree with safe spaces at all.
I think there's a certain, like, aspect to it, but there was, and also really the interesting thing is just how there was this, because there's this whole kind of, like, network of group chats. And there's, like, you know, you have the main one, which is all the people from, like, the incoming senior class going to the school. And then you have the one where people, like, if you're a member of the LGBTQ community, go in this group chat. If you're a member of the, like, if you're studying political science, join this group chat. And then, like, those are two group chats. I didn't join the LGBTQ one, but I did join the political science one. And I was like, wow, there's going to be probably an interesting, diverse mix of people here, like, a lot of different perspectives. But, you know, they pretty much kind of fall under the same, like, political description. I'd say broadly. Just what I found is I would characterize it as, like, you know, like Elizabeth Warren stands who kind of think they're, like, communists, you know. Like, those are the
who think they're communists.
Those are the people, like, well, it's like people are like, I'm super left, I'm ready to oh my god, it's like, I don't know, I hope people don't, like, I don't know, dig this back up or something like that, but, like, it is just, like, that's like, it's a fine position to be, but it wasn't, like, a very diverse situation. It just wasn't, like, there was not a lot of people who are, like, having different kind of political perspectives and, like, different takes, because it was kind of like the same kind of, like, economic critical, like, class critical, like, critical of capitalism, but a lot more of the, like it was race talk more than class. Like, they kind of had the, I don't know, it's kind of hard to put into words, but, like, Elizabeth Warren supporter type people, who were just like, I'm ready to burn down the system, but talked, like, very much Elizabeth Warren, like, people who are like Jon Ossoff, the coolest politician ever. And then also, like, down with the state or something like that. Just like, I'm kind of critical of capitalism myself. It's just like, I'm not. And again, I don't want to be. Like, no one turn around on me and be like, I'm not trying to, like, paint myself off as, like, the uber leftist, but it just seems a little bit, you know, kind of performative in some points. And I'm definitely not trying to make myself the ultimate judge of that, but. It's still the point stands. My perception is that if you're on the wrong side of issues of identity politics, you're not just mistaken, you're evil. Like that. Like, that's an economics professor at Smith College, and he says he's conservative. James Miller, and yeah, like, there is that definitely kind of heightened perception because there was, like, no Republicans in the group chat, and apparently the Republicans made another group chat and were just expressing their outrage at the fact that there was, like, people who were, like, there's a lot of people who were, like, pressuring everyone else in the group chat to, like, put their pronouns in the, like, in their usernames, like, and again, I mean, there's no real harm in that, to be completely honest. So
I didn't hear you. Are you saying pronoun?
Yeah, like to put their like there was like people. Yeah, there were like people in the chat who were like, guys, just a reminder, like please put your pronouns in your username. And people were like, oh, that's so cringe on the group chat. And then like there was a whole another scandal where like people joined the LGBTQ group chat and as far as I understand, didn't really say anything, but were just like there, and that was like violating the safe space. And they were really members of the Republican group chat. Like, so yeah, it's just
there's no safe space. You can't have a politics like that's just ridiculous. Like I don't agree with that. Like if there's like an LGBTQ meeting or whatever, and it's like about that, and you just like come in and be like a fucking dickhole, like yeah, you have the right to take them out, but you don't have the right to like have a political group chat and like be upset when people with different ideas like that. What's even the point if you're in a fucking echo chamber?
It was like it was an LGBTQ like only thing, and there were people who were coming in. Yeah, who were kind of coming into, and I mean,
think that's like
maybe it's people like I told my mom about this. She was like, actually brought up a good point. She was like, oh, like what if there are people who just don't know they're LGBTQ quite yet, and they want to like come in for like voyeurism and
like kind of see what voyeurism. It's like. You know, this is my take on the pronoun thing. Like, I don't have any problem with it, but like, I don't feel like it's like showing solidarity. Like, I mean, I guess I'm not in the right state, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just like not like. I feel like if you don't say anything, then it's just assumed that you have like normal pronouns. Like,
yeah, that's what I kind of thought too for a long time.
I don't think it's necessary for like everyone to put their pronouns. Like, I feel like if you have different pronouns, then you just put your pronouns. That's no problem.
Yeah, and it, like, yeah, you're kind of happy to call them, but yeah, for a long time, like, I kind of thought it came off as like you're like almost a little bit pandery when politicians did it. Like you're trying to like signal that you're kind of in touch with like the woke side of things, like because like, and a lot of people just freaked out about that when I didn't think it was that a big deal. But I mean, I heard like the idea is like, you're supposed to be putting them in there because it shows that you're like cool with people with different pronouns. Like that's the logic on that, which I think it makes sense.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, like I guess that makes. You know what I really don't understand is saying folks with an X. Like that is just like okay, whatever. That's like the definition of unnecessary. It's like it's already the whole point is like it's I guess it's like. Your support, it's inclusive of like trans people. I don't even know, like, what does that even mean? It was never like, exclusive of trans people.
But like beyond like all this like stuff about words and he, she, they, whatever. Like I just do think there is a clear type of like, it's not even like you can't, if you're not liberal, you're bad. But like if you're not like doing all the same, like you're not hitting all these kind of like woke and it just there is, I think, a certain place where conservatives. Like it kind of worries me a little bit that they felt the need to kind of come in and make that group chat and not just go in the political science one and have a normal debate. And I mean, of course, there was a long time I did think that they're just being like they're being babies, they're like self-segregating, like it'll be fine. But now that I do think about it and I like see a little bit more of like what's being said in these chats. Like if I were a conservative, I would not be comfortable. Saying a dissenting opinion because it's just like the there is definitely like a strong social stigma to it. I definitely think there is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like conservative like trans people are like fake, and conservative like I think maybe like Medicare for all isn't like the best thing for the country. Like there's differences in those ideas. Like one of them is obviously debatable, and the other one is just like you're just like a piece of shit.
Yeah, and I mean like,
and I think like people on the left don't draw that line in the right place often.
And to be fair, like there is a certain place of like where you don't want those kind of like conservative ideas in there. Like if you're like attacking trans people, and again, there is another thing of like I don't know what exactly was said in the like the right wing group chat, and if that was on the political science group chat, or the main group chat. That was bad, like, I mean, you don't want that. So you can't really, like, count all your eggs before they hatch there. Or your chicken.
But I know it's hard for some people to believe, but there actually are conservatives who are good people,
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
And even if they're not good, even if you, like, vehemently disagree with them, you still should be able to debate them. Like, or at least have a conversation of ideas, like find some things you can agree upon. And I mean, again, there's some people, like, I haven't really met a person personally, like in my own life, that I talk politics with that I like just really hate. Like anyone who like follows politics,
that's not true.
I could pretty much talk politics with them. Who? Are you thinking of someone that we know?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't want to say on the podcast.
All right. Yeah, like even with like people who are like super, I don't know, like they're bad people, you know. I think you have to be very upfront about it. You can't be just like, where you kind of get into trouble is like, oh, you're skating over it and you're like hiding your beliefs or kind of like sugarcoating things too much. Or you could just come out and like kind of call them the most awful person in the world. Like you got to be like, here's why your ideas, like this idea is like racist or it's bad, and you got to really go into it. You got to prepare to be, like, bring the accusations, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but be prepared to back them up and be prepared to get a probably hostile response. And if you really want, I think it's down to the like personal relationship. Like if you know the person well enough to like know what, if you're going to say something that's just going to completely kill the friendship, I feel like.
Yeah. Wait, I don't. What do you mean?
Like if you like call someone a racist or like, I don't know, maybe like
I guess you
call someone out. Like if you call someone out like really hard, are they not going to be friends with you? Like only really you can determine that. You know. Anyway, yeah, and there we have, so we're like barely getting started with the story, by the way, so we can go through it because there still is a lot more good stuff in here. In an interview, Miss McCartney said that Kanute's encounter with the campus staff was a spate of cases of was kind of representative of a spate of cases of the living while black harassment phenomenon across the nation. Which again, there has been plenty of videos that are just absolutely insane when it comes to stuff like that, just like really kind of awful stuff. But this does not seem to be one of them at all. So President McCartney, like all the workers Canute interacted with on that day, is white, and faculty members pointed to a pattern that they say reflects the college's growing timidity in the face of allegations from students, especially around the issues of race and ethnicity. In 2016, students denounced the facility at Smith's social work program as racist after some professors questioned whether admissions standards for the program had lowered, and this was affecting the quality of the field work. Dennis Meals, one of the professors they decried, left the school not long after, so they're going to get a little bit of history of that. Then in autumn of 2019, the Religious Studies Department proposed a class on Native American religion and spirituality, a full complement of studies registered, students registered, but well before the classes began. A small contingent of Native American students and allies pasted bright red posters on buildings on campus, pretty much reviling the course as harmful, intrusive, and disrespectful, and attacking the instructor, who was young, white, and not on a tenure track. He had an academic background in this field and had modeled his course on that of his mentor, who was a well-known professor and member of the Choctaw Nation. And then the administration declined to challenge student protesters and had the instructor submit to sessions of radical listening with the protesters. In the end,
radical
religious studies
destroying America
department dropped the class. Yeah, like this is gonna all these like dumb terms like radical listening. Like, I'm sorry, if you went up to like MLK and like said radical listening, like I wonder what he would say. It's just like
radical abolitionist John Brown.
Yeah, that's a Prager. You doing some radical listening? Like that is a.
What, they made him take a radical listening class? I don't even. What did he do wrong?
Apparently, like the program was bad, but he had it designed. He designed it with someone who's like a well-respected guy in like the Choctaw Nation. So, I mean, and you gotta wonder, like, you gotta bet a large percentage of those students were not.
This is like the same thing. It's like the Harvard students. You hear about the Harvard students who were like, they wanted their professor kicked out of their dorm because he was like representing Harvey Weinstein.
Who was it?
It was like some black lawyer. I forget. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, Yeah, I mean, you can't really fire someone for that.
It's like you fire him, but they like kicked him out of their dorm because all these dumbass Harvard students were like, "Oh, we don't feel safe because a lawyer who's representing someone he's representing someone we don't like."
Yeah, I feel like all this stuff with like the lived experience kind of thing is like, it's good until it's turned against you. Like, and we've seen it happen again, like with people who are, it's like, oh, Medicare for all, that goes against my lived experience as a black person. So no, thank you. Like,
what does that even mean? Is that something you actually heard?
I mean, not necessarily Medicare for all, but the idea that like universal programs are good, or just the attack on universal programs is that like, oh, it goes against my like, I don't feel safe or something like that. Like that kind of stuff is a very, very dangerous thing.
What does that even mean?
It's very hard to like invalidate people's feelings, and if you can't just say, like, that's not true. If it's a he said, she said situation, like, I kind of think that can go down a bit of a dangerous road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one's kind of weird. The atmosphere at Smith gaining attention nationally in part because a recently resigned employee of the school, Jody Shaw, has attracted a fervent YouTube following by decrying what she sees as the college's insistence that its white employees, through anti-bias training, accept the theory of structural racism. Stop demanding I admit to my white privilege, work on my so-called implicit bias, and work on my implicit bias as a condition of my continued employment, said Mrs. Shaw, a graduate of Smith in 1993, and who worked in the residential life department in one of her videos. Yeah, like, I think that's a good point, you know? Like, the boss shouldn't be calling you in, monitoring you, like calling you into a situation, like into a room, like taking you out of like work time and probably not giving you any time to catch up on it. And this doesn't happen at Smith. Just doesn't happen at Smith. It happens in like offices, places, workplaces all over the country. And then like kind of like dissecting your brain to figure out like when you first became racist in your childhood or something.
It doesn't. I mean, like it's like the same thing with the freaking Coca-Cola training. It's like, it's not helpful and it's wrong. I don't know why. This is literally just Robin DiAngelo fucking trying to grift and sell her goddamn books. Robin DiAngelo has dangerous and incorrect ideas that seriously threaten, like, if you want actual racial like equality in this country, you should throw Robin DiAngelo in lava because she's single-handedly pulling us back.
That is harsh, and
racism.
We've heard a lot about like Robin DiAngelo and these people like Ibram X. Kendi, but we haven't really made a case on why they're bad, like on the show. I mean, I haven't. I mean, I personally think that
just imagine, like, you're like, but you're a Coca-Cola employee. Okay, so just like imagine you're a Coca-Cola employee and some person just like sits you down. You have to do like racial
your boss,
acceptance.
By the way. Your boss.
Your boss gives you racial acceptance training or whatever, and you look at the and you look at it, and it's it says whiteness is like, I forget the actual. Let me look it up. Coca-Cola whiteness slides. I mean, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was some pretty horrible stuff.
Yeah, it was some
try to be less white. To be less white is to be less oppressive, to be less arrogant, to be less certain, to be less defensive. I mean, if you put someone in front of this, like, they shut down immediately because this is dumb. It doesn't make any sense. And there's a difference. Like, there's
and like, what does that even whiteness. Mean?
It means nothing. It literally means nothing. They're talking about like sociology,
be less
term
assertive?
whiteness, like whiteness in like society or whatever, but like it doesn't mean anything. Like someone will shut down. They will literally shut down because this means nothing, and you're basically just saying, oh, like, you're white, like, you're racist. Being your race means like being a horrible person. Like, that is a horrible thing to say to somebody, and it shuts down. So that means they see that. Can you imagine this being your first experience with like systematic racism? I would shut down immediately. And it colors
you, like, definitely, that's for sure. And it's like there's a difference between like going up to a black person and like, oh, you have nice hair, like, let me touch your hair or something like that, in like a weird way, and like all those kind of things you just know not to do. But then you get this stuff like, you're being an oppressor against the white social and you start making up words and just going to that territory, like that's very dangerous, especially when you're doing it at work. And like how does that, especially like not only if you're white it's awkward, if you're black it's awkward. Like if you're all of a sudden either your fellow coworkers, and chances are you're probably a minority in that place, maybe like one or two like other people of color in that workplace, and the people in that workplace either like are resentful of you now in or at least kind of indirectly, or they'll feel like they have to act very awkward around you. Like you can't be what's the words they use, like you can't be arrogant or assertive, or I don't even know. Like
for white, like if you're white, like you have to like shut up.
Yeah, or
like let the black people talk.
Not even.
I mean, you're like straight up breeding Nazis. Like, let's be real here. Like, you are creating goddamn Nazis. Like what? There's no way. Like most white people look at this and are just like, yeah, okay. Like what? I mean, obviously, Robin DiAngelo's like, oh, white fragility. Why are white people so defensive when they are called out for being racist? Like, what do you mean? Because like, why would you're telling me if you just walked up to someone in the street and you were like, you're racist, like what would they say? Oh, you're right. Like what
it's probably better. It's probably better that they care.
Yeah,
like they react.
Like I don't want to be racist. I totally agree with you, but no.
White and people are willing to do a lot to like not like appear racist, but there is a certain point where it's just like people are no thank you. And I think like the culture of that is reaching its breaking point.
If you combat like white supremacy with not like white supremacy like white supremacy like, oh, black people are worse than white people, I'm talking about like systematic white supremacy. Like if you combat it with like a logical argument, like I would like to think that most people in America actually care about that. But if you just start the conversation by like, white people suck, shut the fuck up, white people. Oh my God. Give black people your job. You are the worst. Like, it shuts down the conversation so quickly, and it's so unhelpful.
Yeah, personally, I think, like, what if we just had an HR department that, like, solved any, like, individual racial disputes, but actually tried to encourage, like, people in the workplace, like, regardless of their race, should see like themselves as equal to each other, like, and maybe, just maybe, form some sort of a worker organization, like a union. Oh my goodness.
Or like a worker co-op.
And the funniest thing is people like these like sick companies that develop algorithms to determine what workplace is like statistically the most likely to form a union or not. They look for how diverse for certain workplaces are, so that they can like best like they try and enhance diversity. So because diverse like workers from diverse backgrounds, different cultures, they're less likely to organize. And you enhance that kind of difference, and if you enhance that kind of separation, that only serves the company's bottom line, because no union, and you get to like save a lot more money, get a lot more profits. And it's so exploitive, it's so cynical, because it literally benefits them financially to like go down the diversity line.
Yeah.
Like it is what?
Yeah. I was agreeing.
Yeah. I'm right. Yeah, so Canute, New York raised 5'2" runner and science student, was the first in her family, which had emigrated from Mali to attend college, so good for her there. She worked that summer as a teaching assistant, and on July 31st, awoke late and stopped at the Tyler House dormitory cafeteria for lunch on her way to the gym. This account of what unfolded next is drawn from an investigative report and dozens of interviews, including a lawyer for Miss Canute, who declined several interview requests. Not a surprise there. Student workers were not supposed to use the Tyler cafeteria, which was reserved for a summer camp program for young children. Jackie Blair, a veteran cafeteria employee, mentioned that to Canute when she saw her getting her lunch there, and then decided to drop it. So I was right. She did mention it. Staff members, here's the thing. Again, This is the class aspect of it. And these people who like come onto the Smith campus and are like, we are fighters for the oppressed, or we are the oppressed ourselves, paying $70,000 a year.
Yeah, first of all, if you're going, you're not oppressed if you're going to Smith. I mean, that's just the reality situation.
And I looked her up. I like was kind of curious about like on her see if she just had a Twitter or something, and I found her LinkedIn page, and she went to a school called the Westminster School for high school. So like she's like she's kind of.
If you're from Mali and you can afford to go to Smith, like you're not oppressed, dude. You're the bourgeois.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she's I don't like know her complete financial situation. I mean, she may be. It may perfectly be possible that she's like from a poor family and she got in because of merit on a scholarship or something like that, and like that's good for her. But if you go to Smith and you go to a school like, I don't know, I'm gonna assume by the name here, the Westminster School is a school that is very similar in the class of people it attracts economically, in the majority. That just as Smith, so just rich people go there. Like, and if you're around rich people, go to school around rich people, you kind of tend to, like, you're more like them than you are like the $40,000 a year veteran cafeteria workers. That is for sure. She again, this is the crazy part. She mentioned it to Canute and decided to drop it when she saw her go in there. Like, it is kind of insane. And, of course, Mark Patinod, a janitor, with the kind of interesting quote here. We used to joke, don't let a rich student report you because if you do, you're gone. Like, all this stuff, again. As
Dude, you know what? Good for him. He did literally nothing wrong, and now he gets paid vacation.
Yeah. He...
The problem with this is, like, you can call racism for literally anything, like, under this logic.
Yeah, and, like people's jobs are in danger, you know? Like, Jackie Blair, the cafeteria worker, she had lupus. Like, if she lost that job, I think she was put on, like, leave. I don't know if it was paid leave or not. But if she, like, had a financial hit and still to pay the bills for her lupus treatment, like, that would have been pretty awful. But yeah, just the comment, like, we used to joke, don't let a rich student report you because if you do, you're gone. Like, boy, does that make me excited to go to college. That is for sure. A janitor who was in the 60s and poor of sight was emptying garbage cans when he noticed someone in that closed lounge. All involved with the summer camp and were required to have state background checks, and campus police were advised staff it was wisest to call security rather than confront strangers on their own. So that was they were told to do. They were literally told to do that first. So she was not like assuming that, oh, it's a black lady there eating lunch, she must be up to no good. That's like, it was the protocol. So this janitor worked at Smith for 35 years, dialed security. We have a person sitting there laying down in the living room, janitor told the dispatcher, according to a transcript.
She was lying down?
Yeah.
That's so sus.
I didn't approach her.
What is she doing?
Or like, I didn't approach her or anything, but seems out of place. Her or anything, but he seems out of place. That's what because the woman, Miss Canute, she had short hair, so wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. Here's the best part though: the janitor had noticed Miss Canute's black skin, but made no mention of that to the dispatcher. Probably smart for him. Miss Canute was in the shadows. He was not sure if he was looking at a man or a woman. She would, of course, later accuse the janitor of misgendering her. So there's a little cherry on the top for all the people.
What does that even? Oh, misgendering her?
Yeah.
How did he misgender her? What does that even mean? Wait, is she cis? I don't understand.
Yeah, she's like a woman, as far as I understand it, because she has short hair. It's like, oh yeah.
Wait, so but
like
he didn't misgender. Wait, hold on. Is that's for real? Was she actually said that? I cannot believe that.
Yeah, that is in the article. That is in the article.
No way. She said that the janitor misgendered her because he didn't know what she looked like in the fucking dark.
I mean, unless I'm misreading something or I don't know.
Holy shit, dude. See, this is the problem. Like, these are also the people who, like, my God, there's like so much overlap with like people who believe in systematic racism, which is very real, and then like actual psycho people like this.
Yeah, like there is like so many people who are just like completely have like lost the plot on this. And I would love to see like an interview.
You have to link me this article. I do not believe this.
I will send it to you. You can scroll down. It's like
literally send it in Discord.
It is roughly halfway through.
I cannot believe she said that he misgendered her. Oh my god. Oh my god, you're not even joking. The gender I noticed Kenote? Is that right? Black skin, but ain't no mention.
Kanute, I'm not sure.
Kenote. Oh, what can you do? I was in the shadows. He was not sure if he was looking at a man or woman. She would later accuse the janitor of misgender. Oh my god. Does she think like misgendering is like when you see somebody in the dark and you're like, ma'am, and it's actually a guy? Does she think that's misgendering?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Maybe she was like, I don't know, bi or cis or something like that. But yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell was going on. But I don't get how she could come up to that misgendering accusation, which is just insane. So here is a little bit of taste of the student. This is Umu Kanute speaking on Facebook. Unfortunately, the sound is really bad, and you're not really going to be able to hear this, Zach, so I can just kind of summarize it after. So this is her on Facebook.
At Smith College on July 31st, while I was eating lunch in a common space, a Smith College employee called the police on me because I seemed out of place. I was said to be demonstrating suspicious behavior. Some might say this wasn't such a big deal because I wasn't touched or harmed, or physically harmed, I should say, during this incident. But I want people to understand the underlying message that this caller sent by calling the police on a student for eating lunch and simply trying to enjoy a break. My name.
Yeah, she says there's like, this may not seem like a big deal, but I'm just sitting here trying to enjoy my break in a cafeteria that you were literally told by this cafeteria lady that you were not allowed to.
Wait, so she said Mrs. Blair is racist?
Yeah, she called Mrs. Blair and the janitor racist. All right, so a well-known older campus security officer.
I actually don't understand. Wait, why is she racist?
I don't know, because she thought she was like, it's kind of the thing where like if you see black people in a place that you think they're not supposed to be in, like they're up to no good or something like that, they're hanging around too long.
She literally was in a place that we're supposed to be, and
that's the part about it. Yeah, that's the part about it that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
What is she supposed to do? Like black people just don't have to follow the rules? What is she trying to say?
I don't know. A well-known older campus security officer drove over to the dorm. Next, he recognized Kanute as a student, and they had a brief and polite conversation, which she recorded. He apologized for bothering her, and she spoke to him of her discomfort. Like, again, like a polite conversation, apologize, sorry to bother you, but we're actually trying to close this space off. Can you please leave? Like, I don't know, just not even like, think about it, if you just went into like if in high school, like in our school, you just went into a random like empty classroom and just started eating lunch in there, like, or you went into like, like a common space that you weren't supposed to be and eating lunch in there. They wouldn't be like, "Oh, sorry to bother you. Can you please leave?" They're just like, "Hey, get out!"
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, they would not be.
I just don't understand. Like, what did she want? Like, what? How could they have handled the situation better?
I don't like. She didn't really make that clear in this article.
I don't understand.
I don't know. It would be interesting. Let's see if we can get any more of this out of this article here.
Like she was in a space she wasn't supposed to be in. She was told that. She went into the space, and then a police officer who had to be there because it was fucking protocol. Because obviously, you'd rather have a police officer just go there than just have these employees randomly like go up to people who aren't supposed to be. I mean, that's a dangerous situation right there. So they follow protocol. The police officer was apparently, from what the report says, very courteous, saying, "Please don't be here." And then what? That what else could you possibly want? Like, I don't understand.
I do not know. I really do not know. It is very strange. Yeah, so her 2-paragraph post hit Smith College like an electric charge. President McCartney weighed in a day later, saying, "I begin by offering the student involved my deepest apologies in this incident occurred, and to assure her she belongs in all Smith places." Miss McCartney, she did put the accused employees and the janitor on paid leave that day. So, yeah, Miss McCartney and her staff often talk of social justice in their mission, and faculty say this has seeped into near every aspect of the college. Students can now obtain a minor in social justice studies. That said, the president has stumbled in ways that left her bruised by that time of the 2018 incident. In 2014, she moderated an alumni discussion in New York on free speech. A white panelist argued it was a mistake to ban Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn because he used the N-word. A panelist then uttered the word in hopes, she said, of draining the word of its ugly power. And that's something that she would probably only do in 2014. But students denounced Ms. McCartney for failing to denounce the panelist. The president then later requested forgiveness. So again, kind of not the biggest deal, but I don't know. Something about saying the N-word ever just feels like a trap, you know? Like you're never going to say it.
It's not really a good scenario we can say the N-word.
Yeah, no. Like, but again, it was a 24. You can't discount how like so different the culture was in 2014. But if you had asked, the average like white adult that, they probably would have said, "Oh yeah, you're talking about a book. Who cares?" But I
mean, I remember
I would say it's probably for the better things have changed
book
now.
Readings in school, like of Mice and Men, I think, has the N-word in it.
Yeah, and like, did anyone ever say it? I mean, I don't think so.
I think like one person said it, and then like they were like, "No, like you're not supposed to be saying the N-word. Like just say the N-word." I don't know.
Yeah, it's very
like I don't think like I think there's a difference between like saying it like as a slur and just like saying it because that's the thing you're reading, but I still don't think it's a good thing to say. Like you should avoid it at all costs, unless you're like. Yeah, actually, no. You should avoid it at all costs. I can't really think of a good scenario.
Yeah, it's really never good. All right, so later in 2014, she wrote to the college community lamenting that grand juries had not indicted police officers in the deaths of black men, but she made the fatal mistake, of saying those 3 words, "all lives matter." Miss McCartney concluded in an inadvertent echo of this kind of conservative rallying cry. At the time, though, it was like far from sought-out ground that was like a thing asshole conservatives say. And Smith students then denounced her, and she apologized. She appeared intent on really going for the gold this time in 2018. In an interview, she said that Canute deserved an apology and swift action. She said it was appropriate to apologize because she's living in a context of living well black incidents. The school's workers felt scapegoated. And this guy, Mark Lendler, said, with the kind of quote of the year in this, I think, I kind of got a kick out of it because it seemed like such an understatement. It's safe to say race is discussed far more often than class at Smith. Like, you think? Like,
oh, yeah, dude, let's just scapegoat the working class because some rich dumbass is like, I was in a place I wasn't supposed to be, and then I got the cops calling on me. Oh, this is racist. Oh, my God. Shit's infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, it's really... Yeah, it's just like... that. People talk about like colleges as like the like left-wing breeding ground, but I mean, I really don't see colleges as like breeding anything good for our politics at the moment, especially like places like this. Like, there's
politics is either like suppression of good left-wing ideas, or just like straight up like reverse racism to the point where it's like, yeah, we should like segregate people. Like, I'm not a big fan of horseshoe theory, but like in this case, I feel like it's kind of accurate.
Yeah, but I feel like there's like a different, because there's not like the kind of appropriate label for it, like identitarian. Like, people are more identitarian, I guess the word could say. Like, I feel like there is definitely 2 like unique strains of the left that are definitely more towards the, class reductionist, race reductionist.
I mean, there are people who hate this garbage because they think it's it's just stupid because it's I guess class reductionist is a good word for it.
Yeah, you got to pull. I'd say class reductionists versus race reductionists. I guess would be.
I mean, you can make the argument this is entirely about class and not about race. Well, in this, it literally is about it. I mean, because there was no racism in this entire incident.
Yeah, except for I'd say it is. I'd say it's about both because there's race politics and class politics at play here, and there's definitely a lot more race politics that people acknowledge and talk about. But it's really just a testament to how our understanding of any fact that this person has to guard her mouth because she's in a low paying job. She can't she can't exist freely in Smith spaces because she may lose her job.
I think it's ridiculous that this rich girl.
We don't know. To be fair, we don't know if she's rich.
Oh. Well, I mean, she's at Smith College. You can't be poor there. If she's international, I mean, come on.
I mean, we don't know the situation, but we don't know her family background, but all we can say for sure is she was at nice schools all her life.
That someone who's privileged enough to go to a nice school thinks it's okay to just call racism on somebody and thinks that they should lose their job. Just because they were in illegal, I'm not a legal space, but they were in a space they shouldn't be. You can't just call racism on that and expect somebody to just lose their job.
I mean, I'm surprised. These people, they're all put on paid leave. I don't think any of them were actually fired.
Good.
Because of the thing. Yeah. The report turned up no. And I mean, I can't directly prove this link, but some of the most highest amounts of unionization exist in janitors and service workers and all those people, so would definitely assume that played some role. I would hope. Yeah. So the repercussions spread for Mrs. Blair, the cafeteria worker. She received an email from a reporter at the Boston Globe asking her to comment on why she called security on Canute for eating while black. And that kind of puzzled her. She thought, why'd I have to do this? The food services director called the next morning saying, Jackie, you're on Facebook. She found that Canute had posted her photograph, name, and email, along with that of Mr.
So she just stalked somebody. Cool.
Yeah. A 21-year Smith employee and janitor.
I hate to say this, but the tolerant left.
Yeah. Yeah, there is just, it's honestly, that is a very kind of scary thing to kind of be on the wrong side of, and you can't really, speak about it until you get a barrage, you get a lot of people notifications saying mean things about popping up. It's a very overwhelming thing. Yeah, so this is a racist person, Canute wrote to Mrs. Blair, adding that Mr. Patinode was also guilty. He, in fact, worked an early shift and had already gone home at the time of the incident, so it was not that person. She completely got the wrong person. Patinode also lashed the Smith administration, Canute, sorry.
It's so ridiculous. If you just think about this for 1 second, a black janitor would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, yeah, because they're told by their bosses what to do, and they do it, so they keep their jobs. That's how a lot of this stuff works. Yeah, Blair, she had lupus, a disease of the immune system, which triggered this kind of stress episode. She felt faint when she read the Facebook post. She said, I exchanged a hello with that student, and now I'm a racist. She literally thought, yeah, I just talked to this person, I thought it went fine, and now I'm a racist, and people are pissed at me. Miss Blair was born and raised in Northampton, Massachusetts. Her husband, a mechanic, makes about $40,000 a year. Within days of being accused by Canute, what'd you say?
Why are they mentioning how much money he made?
But I think it's it's a class comparison. I think that's the point they're trying to make. Within days of being accused by Canute, and I'm sure they publicly provided that information, or not publicly, but they volunteered that information. She said she found notes in her mailbox and taped her car window and said racist. People called her home, saying that you should be ashamed of yourself and that you don't deserve to live. Smith College put out a short statement noting that Blair had not placed the phone call to security, but did not absolve her of broader responsibility. And whoever did, which is the janitor that is still thankfully unidentified, did nothing wrong either. McCartney called her and briefly apologized. That apology was not made public. So, yeah, great stuff all around here. By September, a chill had settled on the campus. A student walked out of the autumn convocation in solidarity with Mrs. Canute. The Black Student Organization wrote to the president saying that they do not feel heard or understood. We feel betrayed and tokenized. Smith's officials pressured Mrs. Blair to go into mediation with Canute. A core tenet of restorative justice, Mr. McCartney said, is to provide people with the opportunity for willing apology, forgiveness, and reconciliation. And again, what I think is like clearly wrong here is like, what I think is actually kind of unclear is, did she want the worker to apologize or did she want the student to apologize? Like, who does the Smith administration think is in the wrong? Like, I can't really tell.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, yeah, it's like Smith, they pressured Blair to do it. I mean, they kind of make it sound like in this paragraph that Blair is the one being punished. Like, she's going in there to listen to what Canute has to say, which does not sound like the right order of things. Yeah, and she, to give her credit, she declined. She said, "Why would I do this? This student called me a racist, and I did nothing." On October 28th, 2018. So
I literally can't see the line. I don't understand how you can draw the line to her being racist. Like, what is the discussion? Oh, you called the cops on me because I'm black. No, I didn't. Where do you go from there? Like, what?
Yeah, like, it's so it's really impossible to like say that in kind of like good faith. Like what is the case? Like, what is the positive case that like this is a good thing? But anyway, so McCartney said the report had, she said, so yeah, we have our answer. Miss McCartney said the report validated Canute's lived experience, notably the fear she felt at the sight of the officer. I suspect many of you will conclude, and so did I, it is impossible to rule out the potential role of implicit racial bias. Like, oh yeah, because you can't determine what people are thinking, and you can't invalidate if someone's afraid. You can't just be like, oh yeah, you're not afraid, unless you want to come off as an asshole. And you can't, because maybe she was thinking that this black person's scary. Like, but again, she didn't even call the police. She didn't call security. She just told her not to sit there. Like, it's insane. Yeah, so again, Miss McCartney offered no public apology to the employees even after the report was released. 4 people's lives wrecked. 2 were employees more than 35 years and no apology. So Tracy Putman Culver, a Smith graduate who recently retired from the college's facilities management department. How do you rationalize that? Rasan Hall, racial justice director of the ACLU of Massachusetts and Ms. Canute's lawyer, cautioned against drawing too much from the investigative report as subconscious bias is difficult to prove. And maybe something that's difficult to prove is probably shouldn't be considered that much of a, like...
What is it? Oh, let's fire somebody because they potentially did something because of race? I mean, what?
Yeah, I mean, if subconscious bias leads to like unconscious, like negative, harmful actions, then that's one thing. But like, this is a situation where that does not apply.
Also, it's already been proved that like everyone, like no matter the race, has subconscious bias. So like every single thing is just race based.
Yeah, and I mean, there's ways to just be like, if you hear that, just be like, yeah, that's not true. And again, what actually helps that is allowing people to exist in a diverse environment and having them like understand each other, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is pretty insane, a pretty insane situation. So it was kind of the really just the aftermath of this is just anti-bias training after anti-bias training, in kind of
wait. This is another thing. Wait, before you say this, okay. So still, Miss McCarthy said the report validated Miss Canute's lived experience. Right, we talked about that. Notably, the fear she felt at the sight of a police officer. So what conclusion am I supposed to draw from that? Like, she has the right to never see a police officer? I mean, what? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, again, from the sight of a police officer, like, I don't know what, or it's not even a police officer. It's like it's a unarmed campus security person. That is really, again, that didn't do anything. Like, she went into a place that again, there is no way to, when you actually know the facts, defend her in this. Yeah. I think we got all that we can about kind of out of this story. Oh my God, we're just doing this for an hour. But I think there's
story.
What?
I said it's a complicated story.
Yeah, it is. Are you excited for Trump's CPAC speech?
I'm not going to listen to it because I don't want to throw myself off a bridge.
I feel like you're going to listen to it whether you like it or not, because there's going to be multiple days of news coverage about whatever he says.
I'll probably end up hearing about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, because it definitely is an important speech to watch, I think, if you're interested in knowing what's the future of the Republican Party.
You think he's going to announce a new party?
Well, I don't think he's going to announce a new party, but he's definitely going to reassert himself. Is
even Republican affiliate? Is it a Republican conference? Not really, right?
I mean, not officially. It's not officially affiliated with the RNC, but
yeah,
everyone who goes there is a Republican, obviously.
Oh yeah,
it's run by Matt Schlapp.
Or they're I know there are people who are Tea Party people who wouldn't consider themselves Republican, or they vote Republican sometimes, as opposed to Joe Biden or whatever. But
yeah,
they have their own extremist parties or whatever. So not necessarily Republican.
Yeah, but he is going to be he's clearly going to take a very assertive role in the entire situation. So let's see.
You know what? You convinced me. Actually, I'm going to watch it because I'm really curious now. Yeah, what is he? I'm so good. What is the future of the Republican Party? You know?
Yeah. So apparently, former President Trump, this is from Fox News here. So again, at least they're somewhat connected to what's going on in the Republican Party. He's apparently fighting mad at House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy over his support of Liz Cheney's number 3 leadership spot in the House GOP. McCarthy could be even in for a public rebuke in Trump's speech at the Conservative Political Action Conference on Sunday. So it's pretty much, again, same as always, just people who have pissed him off in any way. That's all it is.
He just said that he's not a good person or whatever.
Huh?
She voted to impeach him.
Yeah. That's the bad thing. So, 3 sources close to Trump had told Politico his gripes about the California Republican have become so frequent, his advisors think the House Minority Leader may be in for a public reprimand. And I remember the last speech. 1 year ago at CPAC, he was really giving out some true bangers. I think he was talking about toilet water or something like that, and TiVo, and how cute generals are in our military.
Is he gonna have every single Republican who voted to impeach him? He's gonna tell the.
I'm gonna cut out there.
What is he gonna try?
I mean, it seems mostly that he is pissed off with Matt or Liz Cheney. So 145 members of the House conference ended up backing Cheney, with 61 Trump loyalists voting to remove her from her leadership role during a secret ballot in earlier this month. So yeah, when it went to secret ballot, people are like, you know what? I like Liz Cheney. Donald Trump can go screw it, because I like her more than Donald Trump personally, because political considerations don't come into account. And that's the kind of dirty little secret there. McCarthy and Cheney had an uncomfortable exchange with reporters last week over whether Trump should be speaking at CPAC. Yes, he should, McCarthy said in a brief response after being asked by a reporter. Cheney said, well, that's up to CPAC. So she is clearly going full ham on this. I mean, she probably will not win her re-election. It's where is she going to go from here? Like probably some like conservative far right or like neocon think tank.
Part 2.
Yeah, no molestations this time.
Yes, no molestations. Well,
oh my gosh.
The Andrew Johnson Project.
the Andrew Johnson Project. That would probably be more depressing. Just maybe you should start the George Bush Project. Or the Cheney Project.
Wait, which one?
I mean, obviously George H.W., but yeah, people overlook George W., but people underlook the first one. They underrate his impact, I think.
Yeah, he did a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much the center of like the establishment. Like he's the
Republican Party.
If you want to like look at someone who's pretty much the CEO of the deep state, when the deep state, quote unquote, was like the strongest.
On my way to fight the CEO of the deep state.
Exactly, that would be George Bush, like CIA guy. Only one term president, but what?
I said kill JFK.
Of course, we all know that. Helps like. Work with like Richard. He was like he and all his friends like helped get Richard Nixon in the White House as well. Like very important people for sure. And yeah, only guy who doesn't remember where he was, November 23rd, 1963. So
yeah, that is actually such a creepy statement. Why would he even say? Why wouldn't he just lie?
I don't remember where
that sounds like the government is like telling him he has to say that.
Yeah, there is so much like there's so many weird coincidences about like George Bush and his like really close relationship with the CIA.
Like it's so creepy the way he says it.
Yeah, like he was in Dallas. I believe Nixon was in Dallas at the time. Lyndon B. Johnson was there. Like there was a lot of like very, very strange things happening. But yeah, like you can get all conspiratorial. We kind of did that on the last season, by the way, of Hidden History. So a little fun preview for what's to come. Another preview about what's to come is very good news. Of course, with the Amazon union fight down in Alabama, I've been actually able to make a very big announcement, which is that we will have sometime very, very soon on our show here on Newsflash a person associated with that union effort. I don't know who that's going to be yet, but very excited about that.
I'll be listening.
Yeah, can't wait to hear a lot. Can't wait to hear that. All I did was just like send a great email. I mean, the email itself was kind of average, but it was very easy. It was very easy to send an email to.
You don't want to brag about your email writing skills.
Yeah, to the communications director, which I found on their website, and they were like, "Yeah, no journalist is too young. We'll make someone available to you to interview," which I thought was very, very nice.
Great job.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What questions are you gonna ask? You want to give a sneak preview?
Yeah, I imagine we'll just be talking about like why, like the reasoning behind the strike. What are conditions like on the factory floor? Like how bad is it actually? What has the suppression been like? Because the tactics, the union busing tactics Amazon has used to try and stop this. Like apparently they have managers out there dangling promotions to people on the factory floor right as it comes time for the union election to finish up, which I believe finishes up in March, like the end of March. So they got about a month more to vote. But yeah, hopefully we'll be hearing a lot more about that in the near future. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. We we may just not do a show on Sunday. Maybe we will. I don't know. Why not? We'll see. I don't know. Non-committal about it. It's Newsflash.